Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Carlos Santana bringing us back, 17 till. I'm Jim Blasingame. Thanks for staying with me. Jonathan Zuck is our guest. Association for Competitive Technology is his organization. actonline.org. Jonathan, tell us about it.
Hey, actonline.org is our website, and the Association for Competitive Technology is a trade association that represents small and medium-sized companies that for whom technology is a big component of their business.
And for which you are those companies' customers, my friends, whether you know it or not, you are their customers. If you've downloaded an app lately onto your smartphone, you probably did business with somebody like, if not a member of Jonathan's organization, somebody just like them. Go ahead, Jonathan.
That's right. And our job is to try to pay attention to what's going on in legislatures.
Mm-hmm.
All over the country, whether it's state legislatures,
but also around the world. You guys are advocating, because the internet issues, technology, IT issues, are not local, are they? They're global.
That's right, and because an increasing amount of our economy is dependent on exports, making the world kind of a better place for American products is an important part of what we do as well.
And so this privacy thing we've been talking about, is there a real threat, a real concern? I mean, could Senator Rockefeller, who's the one of the leading proponents of clamping down on this, and I get the feeling that he's not really as I mean, does he actually know what he's talking about, or is he just glomming on to a sensational issue? What are the chances that he'll prevail?
Well, I think that the more that there are headlines about privacy, the more emboldened that policymakers feel about putting some kind of regulation in place.
Yeah.
And the problem is that regulation is going to affect your businesses much more than it does the big businesses that cause the headlines in the first place.
Well, it seems to me that this privacy issue needs to be, sort of broken apart, busted up, and each of the major components given their own name.
Well, to some extent, it has.
But the public doesn't really know what those elements are, though, Jonathan.
I'm sorry?
The public doesn't know what those elements are.
In a way they do, right? If you think about the data that you consider to be really sensitive about you, that's your medical data, for example, that might prevent you from getting insurance.
Right.
Your financial data that might prevent you from getting a mortgage, right? I mean, there's data about your children, right? I mean, those are the things that you think are probably most sensitive, and there's already fairly extensive regulation about those three categories of data. And those regulations affect the data, whether it's on the web or in the offline world or on a mobile device.
But if we're in a town hall event in our district, and somebody brings up privacy with our congressman or senator, how do we engage in that conversation in a way that gets across the fact that we do want privacy, but we don't want it to clog up the internet. Well,
again, I think a lot of it's making the distinction between the kind of data, and then to make sure that when we're having the discussion, that it's about all the data and not just sort of how it's collected.
Yeah.
The other problem sometimes is that people, in order to get headlines, focus on the new technology. Let's just focus on privacy on mobile devices. And then the companies that have been collecting data on you for literally 100 years get a free pass. And I think ultimately it's got to be about the data itself,
right,
and not the technology that was used to collect it.
Well, I like the way that sounds. Jonathan, I want to stop you on that for a second. I want to completely change subjects. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan is a very, very accomplished filmmaker who had one of his recent film was nominated and awarded a screening in Cannes recently. I want to congratulate you on that, Jonathan. Well done.
Thank you very much.
And can people? Is there a website where people can go and see your films?
There sure is. Our website is dcdogs.com.
Spell that.
DCDOGS.
DCdogs.com, and they can find all your films there, right?
That's right. And the one that went to Cannes was called Palindrome.
Palindrome, right? It's sort of like a Merlin type film, right? It operated in reverse chronology, right?
That's exactly right. It's operated reverse technology. It's a little bit of an ode to Wile E. Coyote.
So check it out, folks. DCdogs.com, and also actonline.org. Hey, Jonathan, thanks for being here. Good job today. We'll see you next time. Got to go for this hour. I'm Jim Blasingame, the Small Business Advocate, reminding you that when opportunity knocks, it doesn't know you've had a bad day. Greet it with a smile. I'll see you later.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited.